Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the February 26th meeting of the Oklahoma City Planning Commission. I'd like to call us to order and start with a few housekeeping items. If you have a cell phone with you, please silence or turn it off. If you're here to speak on an item and are not the applicant, please fill out one of the forms available outside and provide it to Elena or Jared down here below. When the item that you wish to be heard on is called, you'll be asked to come to the podium, and you'll have up to 5 minutes to speak. If you're here to speak on an item with a large group of people, we encourage you to elect a representative to share your group's concerns. And in those instances, some additional time will be given to that speaker. Where several speakers are heard on the same item, we just ask that you please do your best to limit comments to concerns that we haven't heard yet. We're just trying to limit extensive and repetitious comments. Please direct all your comments and questions to the commission, and if needed, we'll ask staff or the applicant to respond. Finally, we just appreciate everyone's presence today and the time that you took away from your personal obligations to be here. And we ask for your cooperation in upholding the decorum of the meeting and ask that you don't speak from the audience. With that, we appreciate your help with that, and we'll begin with the receipt of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to receive the minutes from the February 12th, 2026 meeting.
We have a motion to receive the February 12th minutes. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. And the minutes are received. Next, we have continuance requests, and we'll start with uncontested requests.
Item 13 is case C-7784, request to defer to March 12th. Item 14 is case SPUD 1808, defer to March 12th. Item 15, case CE 1156, defer to March 26th. Item 16, case PUD 2110, defer to March 26th. And item 17, case PUD 2108, continue indefinitely.
Okay, and I'll just confirm there's no one here to be heard on any of those items. Seeing none, we're ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the uncontested continuance requests as read.
A motion to approve the uncontested requests. It's been seconded by Commissioner Harrison. Please cast your votes. And those uncontested requests are approved. There are no new requests, so we'll move to the public hearing. There's nothing on the consent docket, so we'll move to items to be heard individually. We're going to take a few out of order. We're going to start with number 5.
Okay, item number 5 is a resolution of the City of Oklahoma City Planning Commission finding that the proposed amendments to the amended and restated Core to Shore Reinvestment Area Project Plan are in conformance with the city's comprehensive plan and recommending approval of the amended Core to Shore Reinvestment Area Project Plan dated 2026.
Good afternoon, Joanna McSpadden, Finance Department. We're going to get the slides pulled up, and I've just got kind of a summary of the changes we're looking at. So this is an amendment to our Core to Shore project plan. So the next slide kind of highlights the changes. So we're making amendments to the budget. We are making amendments to the increment districts. We have some objective changes just to kind of align with new goals. And then at the end, just kind of a note, we are adding the authority for OCDT to approve minor budget amendments or minor plan amendments. This is the language from the Local Development Act that describes what a minor amendment is. We have this in most of our other TIF project plans, so we're adding that to this one for kind of consistency. So the next slide, so these are the main changes to the objectives in the project plan. We're adding a housing focus. We had it there, but we're kind of highlighting it along with commercial and, other development. We've added a consideration for the arena and the multipurpose stadium. In the prior version, it mentioned the Cox Center, which is no more, so we're just kind of bringing those up to date. And then looking at focusing on encouraging development of underutilized parcels in commercial areas. This is primarily focused on that section that we're adding for Capitol Hill. So these are the budget amendments. We are adding, if you'll go to the next one, Jennifer, I'm going to talk about that one. So we're adding 3 new TIF districts to the project plan. And so that's the primary increase for the budget. or the primary change to the budget. The other increases, we've just added a little bit to these other districts just to bring them up to date from 10 years ago. A lot of things have changed. Construction costs and financing costs are a lot higher than they were before. And then if you go back one slide, Jennifer, so this will just show you where we've aligned the TIF district budget with the use of the funds. So 2 slides over. So here's the map. It looks similar. So this is the current version is on your left, and then the proposed changes are on your right. We have carved up some things a little bit different. The TIF G is Boulevard Place. That is unchanged. TIF A, we are taking a piece out where the Paycom is. We feel like that will probably activate at a later date. We've removed the Cox Center entirely because that's going to be used for the arena, public purpose. We've also carved out the multipurpose stadium in TIF E for the same reason. And then we've added TIF H, which covers most of Capitol Hill. And we've also cut TIF D at the bottom. We've separated that kind of more, what we believe will probably be a higher density section of that TIF so that we can activate it separately. Those are the main changes. Happy to answer questions that you have.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from commissioners? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion. Yes, please.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to recommend, are we recommending or are we approving?
It's adopt the resolution.
We're adopting the resolution to the amended and restated Core to Shore Reinvestment Area Project Plan.
A motion to adopt the resolution from Commissioner Noble. It's been seconded by Commissioner Milner. Please cast your votes. And that resolution is adopted. Now we'll move to item 11.
Item 11 is annexation. This is a petition requesting an annexation pursuant to, well, I'll skip that part, for an approximately 148.7 acre tract of land in Section 21. And this is located roughly 2701 North Gregory Road, and it's bounded on the north by Interstate 40. And Keith Coleman is here to introduce this. It's related to the next item, a de-annexation. We have an agreement, an MOU with the City of Yukon related to both of these, but Keith's going to cover the annexation aspect of it.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff. Commissioners, my name is Keith Coleman. I'm the Vice President for Economic Development for the Alliance for Economic Development, and we represent the Oklahoma City Industrial and Cultural Facilities Trust. This tract of land, we're requesting it be moved into the City of Oklahoma City. It is adjacent to the C.E. Page Airport. The purpose of this is just to bring it in as far as part of the employment lands comprehensive plan for the City of Oklahoma City, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any comments, questions from commissioners? This is Ward 3.
Yes, sir. I've been through this with, spoke to several people regarding this. I think it's a good process. If any other commissioners don't have anything regarding this, I'd like to move to approve the NX 2026-0001.
Yeah, so just to be clear, this is a recommendation to City Council
Okay.
to proceed with an ordinance of annexation. So we have a motion from Commissioner Meek to recommend the item to City Council. It's been seconded by Commissioner Newman. Please cast your votes. And that item is recommended for approval. Item 12.
Item 12 is a de-annexation or a detachment of territory from within the corporate limits of the city. And this is located east of South Yukon Parkway and south of Northwest 23rd Street. And I believe Benario is going to give us a brief overview of that.
So this is, detachment is for approximately 24.76 acres. It's located east of South Yukon Parkway and south of Northwest 23rd Street. This is part of an MOA between the City of Oklahoma City and Yukon, and it's the other part of the agreement. I don't know if you guys have any other questions.
This is my ward. Again, it's just kind of an agreement with Yukon. I do have someone signed up to speak, so I'd like to hear from them. Stephen Parks. Good afternoon.
How you doing? I represent Sharon Jelnick Owen. The property, I guess, that's in the pink behind the church, you left the church in Oklahoma City, and all the properties south of that to 10th Street, all the way over to South Highway 4. This property's been in the family since 1850. It's homesteaded land, and she highly objects to, for all of a sudden, Oklahoma City wants to trade for airport property so they can land cargo planes at C.E. Page Airport and but what you guys don't understand is you're flooding all our property. If from 10th Street, and do you have a person in your office named Boyd that works for you?
Well, he's a city employee, I believe.
I'm sorry?
I believe he's a city employee.
Okay, well, I talked to him, and he was gonna have somebody named Anu, which called me 2 weeks later, which was 3 weeks ago tomorrow. I've not heard back from him. I told him what the problem is. Yukon has, on the west side of the street, there's retention ponds all the way down, all the way to the high school. And then on the east side, where the 7-Eleven is, there's supposed to be a retention pond there. They didn't put, so all that water that comes down Yukon Parkway to 10th Street, instead, you would think it has enough force to make it across the street, but it just takes a bank right and floods over there. And then if you go further down where you're actually annexing it, there's two 60-inch drain pipes underneath the railroad tracks, which we also have a railroad spur allotment in our patent because it's not a deed. And on the east side of Highway 4, there's the two 60-inch drains that go underneath the railroad track. On the other side of that, which is the north side or south side of old South Highway 4, there's two 4x6 concrete things that go underneath the road. And then if you go up to where the pond is, right there to where you're just getting ready to, you see the ponds? Well, they've also got 4x6 drainage, and if you follow that creek all the way down, it's washed out our road that we can't even access our property. I called your office to get somebody out there to look at it. Nobody ever calls. So I don't know what to do on that, and then we don't have any idea because I went to the Yukon Development Department, and they said that they're switching it because Oklahoma City doesn't have the infrastructure for that to do whatever they plan to do there, and so that's why they're trading it for Yukon, but really, you're trading it because you want to be able to land cargo planes at C.E. Page and you need more runway. And by doing this, we don't care that you're switching it, it doesn't matter to us, but our problem is you're flooding us out every time because nobody is thinking about water and where the direction of the water goes.
No, I understand that. So just a couple points of clarification. You referenced you guys up here. So the commission is all volunteers. We're not city employees, so we're up here making a recommendation. We're hearing cases and making a recommendation. I think if I could give you Mr. Lodge's number in the back, he's one of our deputy city engineers. He can provide a little bit more insight on that. Barry, if you can circle up with Mr. Parks after and get him some information. To your point, yes, at the edges of the city, our infrastructure is stressed. I think that by taking this to Yukon, that's going to improve the chances of the drainage improvements getting implemented.
Well, I technically, I really don't see that. I mean, no matter what they build, they may move it on down to where it doesn't flood where they're at, but it still pushes all that water. And on that 10-inch rain that we had in like an hour, it devastated, I mean, we had a 3-inch tin horn, a 3-foot, excuse me, a 36-inch 3-foot tin horn, and it washed another 3-foot besides the tin horn away to where we can't even access our property. I've been told the Canadian county says, oh, well, it's incorporated into Oklahoma City. So I called your office because everything south of 10th Street is another councilman's district, and they can't talk to me about it. And it's all their waters is what doing it. So
Well, I'm sorry you're getting the runaround and you can't find the right person to talk to. I believe this is Ward 1, so Councilman Carter would be the council person over this ward. So you're welcome to reach out to him. Again, if you talk to Barry, can get you his information, get your information. I think he can probably provide some insight as well. But this is a recommendation that we're hearing today, and it's not a final decision. It'll go forward to City Council for a final decision.
okay, well, I mean, I know back in the 80s when Xerox was built, they asked Yukon if they wanted to expand their city limits, and Yukon said no. And so here we are 40 years later, and now we're trying to do a swap for this, for that. I mean, why? I mean, if you need the airport, why don't you just buy the property or de-annex that and don't give it Yukon anything? I mean, in that eminent domain, if you need it, just take it. That's a question.
It's
I
a
don't know.
question, yeah. Does anyone have an answer for that?
I mean, if you eminent domain it, you just take it from Yukon and say, tough luck.
I just don't think that's something that's being considered, so.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that's something that's being considered, so.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
Anything else from any commissioners? No. With that, I would like to make a motion to recommend approval of case D Annex 2026-0001.
I have a motion from Commissioner Noble to recommend the item to City Council. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. And that item is recommended for approval. We'll return to our regularly scheduled agenda and item 1.
Item 1 is case C-7783, preliminary plat of Prairie 74. This is located south of Southwest 74th Street and east of South Council Road, and there's a variance also to the subdivision regulations.
Good afternoon, David Box, 525 Northwest 11th Street. This is a preliminary plat on a PUD that we actually saw this site 2 separate times. I think Commissioner Meek, when he first came on, my office had submitted an application for a semi-truck parking facility. That went away. He said we rezoned it residential, and now we're here on the plat for it. So this is 87 lots, single-family residential. There are 7 TEs, all of which we agree to. We do need the variance on TE2. Given the shape of the property, there's no way to avoid the variance. It is worth noting, however, we do have a stub to the west as well as the south. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Commissioner Meek, this is your ward. I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you did say you're good with all 7 TEs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any commissioners have any other comments regarding this? I've looked this over according to the PUD that designed it and agree with staff's recommendation. So I believe we have to take the variance first, correct? So I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance to section 5.2.8.B.3A.
We have a motion to approve the variance from Commissioner Meek. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. That variance is approved.
All right.
Now the item.
And with that, I would like to move to approve the preliminary plat for C7783,
Subject to the technical evaluations.
subject to the 7 TEs. Yes.
All right. We have a motion to approve the item. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes.
Thank you.
And that item is approved. Item 2.
Item 2 is case SV 9, application by Moore Public Schools requesting a variance to section 5.4.2E.5 of the subdivision regulations. This would allow a private drive to be named in the Bridges of Moore development.
Thank you.
Location,
Wrong one.
oh, sorry, thank you. Skip number 2. It's like, everybody else was confused, I wasn't confused.
Good afternoon. Steve Rollins, Arc Engineering Consultants,
Let me
130.
call it
Sorry.
out real quick. I'll get it straight here.
Okay.
This is PUD 1768 SP02, application for a specific plan pursuant to the approval of PUD 1768. This is located at 17825 North Portland Avenue.
That's correct. Good afternoon. Steve Rollins, Arc Engineering Consultants, 135 Deer Creek Road, representing the applicant. This is a specific plan as required by PUD 1768. The project's located at the southwest corner of Northwest 178th and Portland, or State Highway 74. As you can see by our application statement, our site plan and building are in compliance with all parts of the PUD. Staff has recommended approval. We would ask for your approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Mr. Doug Hogue and Mr. Jim Trent with Bank First are here if you'd like to ask them any questions directly.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Noble, this is your ward. You want to lead our discussion?
I will. I'll just make a couple of points, and one point is on the sidewalks. There will not be sidewalks along the highway on Portland, and you've agreed to interconnection within the development for pedestrian
That is
access.
correct. Along all of the interior streets within the development, you can see that probably best on the site plan. Well, there it is around the outside edges of the parking lot. We've agreed to put sidewalks there instead of along the highway, yes.
And then all of the materials are consistent with the Bank First buildings that you see in the other locations. And
That is correct, yes.
with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve PUD 1768 SB02.
We have a motion from Commissioner Noble to approve the specific plan. It's been seconded by Commissioner Milner. Please cast your votes. And that specific plan is approved. Thank you. Item 3.
Okay, now item 3. This is case SV 9, application by Moore Public Schools requesting a variance to allow a private drive to be named in the Bridges of Moore development located south of Southwest 89th Street and west of Southwestern Avenue.
Great, good afternoon. Hi, my name's Stacy Bruce, and I'm the Executive Director at Bridges of Oklahoma. This is a collaborative effort between Moore Public Schools Foundation, and Bridges of Oklahoma. Mission being empowering high school students in family crisis to pursue education without obstacles. We're building the 10 duplexes, total of 20 apartments, 2 resident advisor homes, and a student center right behind Sky Ranch Elementary.
Yes, our request is for a variance from the subdivision regulations to be able to name our private drive accessing the property from Southwest 94th Street and naming that drive to honor some very special donors to the project.
Okay. Wonderful. Commissioner Newman, this is your ward. I do have someone signed up to speak, but I just want to confirm, Elizabeth Basden-Borth, that's you. Okay, so it's the applicant. So we don't have anyone signed up to speak.
Okay, I talked to Elizabeth yesterday and examined the application, and I'm in support of it. Does anyone have any objections, comments? Okay. Is this approve or recommend approval?
This is approved.
Okay, so I thought. I'd like to make a motion to approve SB 0009 application for the variant for section 5.4.2.E.5.
right, we have a motion to approve the item. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your vote. And that item's unanimously approved. Good luck. Next, we have item 4.
Item 4 is...
I will be recusing for this item.
Item 4 is case SP 607, application for, by the City of Oklahoma City for a special permit to operate spectator sports and entertainment use unit, high impact, and this is in the DVD business district. And this is located at 200 Southeast 8th Street.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitzow with Johnson & Associates. Address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Before you is the MAPS 4 multi-purpose stadium. It was just referenced in the Court Shore plan. Jared, if you can go back. The stadium sits within a larger district, and I want to give special thanks to the planning department. We had a fairly intensive meeting on the best way to go about this, the approval process, and so we're here today with a recommendation of approval with no TEs, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Harrison, this is your ward.
Anyone, I'm pretty sure not signed up to speak. Any commissioners have any questions, queries, complaints? Not, I recommend approval.
With that, we have a recommendation for approval for SB 607. Seconded by Commissioner Meek. Vote when available. And it passes.
Thank you.
We already heard item 5, so next is item 6.
Item 6 is case PC 10993, application to rezone 1636 Southwest 35th Street from R1 to C3.
Good afternoon. I'm here to ask to approve rezone lot 10 R1 to the C3 because if I bring this to C3, it brings the site into the alignment with the current pattern and comprehensive plan. The C3 retail will be to replace the underutilized lot R1 lot 10 with the reinvestment job, sales tax, and generate business that serve for nearby neighbor. Rezoning C2 improve rather than harm neighbor condition. This design will go for commercial and retail activity, including neighborhood serving shop and service.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Milner, this is your ward. If you want to lead our discussion.
I appreciate the information we got just prior to the meeting, which is this document right here, which is, it appears to be kind of a rendering of what you're planning on. This right here is what I'm referencing, that you provided us what you're planning on meeting. I apologize, I just got appointed, so I wasn't at the January 15th meeting when this was heard, but it appears, is there a plan here? I'm just trying to see how this is going to be oriented on the property. It's a little bit difficult without kind of a site plan here, because I'm looking at this kind of wondering if you're trying to allow for a drive-through?
That is why after we design, we don't know, maybe drive-through, maybe we...
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. I really feel like if you're wanting to do a drive-through, I can only speak for me, but I think I would like to see a little bit more of a site plan about how we're going to be moving traffic through this property, because you're abutting residential, and I'm just assuming how you're moving traffic through, and that's going to spill out close to that residential there.
That will be, you see, that's the subject, the small one, we incorporated with the whole plan.
Yeah,
the big one, and
yeah.
we have enough for the right-through. We don't.
Yeah,
we don't
I think we just
it.
need a little bit more work on this, and I would be in favor, if you're okay, deferring this again And since I'm now here, maybe you and I can get together and talk, and we can talk with staff, and we can get just a little bit more information about how this is going to lay out on this property.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I will do.
Would you be willing to do that?
Work with you on
Okay,
that front.
I appreciate that. And I'm
Okay.
going to ask to defer this 4 weeks, just to make sure we have enough time to talk and get potentially a kind of a site plan put together.
Yeah, as soon as possible with you. Give me the time and can commit with you.
I'm going to say, what's the date in 4 weeks from now of our?
Before we take action on that, I'll just say for what it's worth, there's no way I'm going to vote to approve commercial at this location without an SPUD. It doesn't align with the commercial to the north and south. It's directly next to residential. On straight zoning, we cannot, site plan or otherwise, we cannot impose any kind of limitations or regulations or other than what are in the subdivision plan. So it's going to have to go into an SPUD to get my vote.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, same.
And I'm sorry for that because I know I'm all about the mom and pops, but you know, it's another layer. It's probably a little more money, but yeah, it needs that to be this close to this residential.
Yeah.
And not just the one next door, but around it. So it's not a 35th. It's not a
Now, did
busy
this
street.
come up,
It's
did
not
this
a-
come up in the past? Because
Yes.
I think staff maybe suggested you do an SPUD on this.
Because that area, we have a C3,
that far.
we have the small, is for get through with the whole comprehension map. That's easy for us. If we go to SPUD, very hard for the costly money and everything, and time consumed.
Right. And I
Staff can
understand
help.
that.
Yeah, staff can help you develop this. The staff members can help you develop the SPUD if you need help.
But it would probably be wise to hire an engineer and get this actually put with a site plan that is legible and that we can figure out, because it is backing up right to R1, and you have step down in size and height, and it's just that intensive use right next to R1. It needs to have some constraints, and an SPUD will allow that to happen.
Yeah, and that's planned, and we have the landscape and everything. That's in very close with the SPUD.
Sure. And I appreciate that. I still think we should just look at like a 4-week deferral. You and I need to talk,
Yep.
and let's just talk through the SPUD
Yes, sir.
route. Let's get with staff,
Yes, sir.
and we'll work through this.
Yes,
Is that okay?
that's okay.
And somebody, I'm sorry, I don't know the date. The 19th, so I'd motion to defer this to the March 19th.
Before we
Oh,
do
I'm
that,
sorry.
I think Mr. Butler had
Oh,
something
yeah.
he wanted to add.
Oh, yeah, I was just, your earlier point, we had recommended an approval of C1, but if you're deferring it, well, it kind of depends on what the motion is, but what we could do, if the commission is wanting to do a SPUD, it would be helpful to staff to know that what about C1 is not appropriate and what would we need a SPUD for, that sort of thing. So, but if you're going to continue it regardless, then, and work through it.
Yeah, I'm just,
And you can
Here we
work
go.
with,
We'll see
work with
what
the
happens.
applicant to decide whether C3 is the uses that he needs or C1 and come back with each.
yeah, okay.
I have no problem with a C1 base, the SPUD, but even a C1 straight zoning is just not sufficient, in my view, this close to residential, on what is basically a side street like this. And it doesn't, as I said, the line of commercial up and down Penn does not go this far back off
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
Penn and so on. So if this is what we're going to do here, and yeah, I hope it's not going to look like this. I mean, I don't think that what we want is a mini strip center on this piece of property, so.
Sure.
Okay, I think we were looking at the 26th. It's 4 weeks, March 26th.
Is that 4 weeks? Yeah. I'd like to motion to you.
Hi, Sarah Welch, Planning Department. If we continued this prior so that we could do an SPUD, so it's been continued since mid-January. If the applicant's agreeing to do a SPUD, then we'll need to go later than March 26th. And I'm also available to answer anything you need to know about the C1 versus the C3. Either way you go, if it's only this piece of property that's developed, it's going to be, I would think a SPUD will be less restrictive, honestly. It might limit uses, but the C1 currently has a 25-foot front yard setback and a 15-foot side yard setback. So if it's oriented north, you're going to have 15-foot setback with a 5-foot landscape strip on the east side. Or if it's oriented the other way, where it's part, and that's the part that we're still struggling with, is to understand if it's going to be developed with the rest of that C3. You're still looking at a 15-foot setback from that residential property and a 5-foot landscape strip. So I think that if this is going to be developed via a SPUD, we're going to have to reduce the setback almost and change setbacks and change parking requirements to make something fit on this site. I'm just looking for direction, I think, for what the commission is seeking if we do help the applicant with an SPUD.
I'm not in favor of being less restrictive. So the idea that we're going to have to do that, I'm not going there.
If he owns both pieces of property, would he continue that and put both together in the SPUD? I just question.
We could do that. It would just require renoticing and a new legal description and
more time.
Yeah.
That would really be the better idea.
So he owns the corner?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly?
Does.
Okay.
So I thought that the continuance was for the purpose of figuring out what needs to be done, how it's going to work, and when it will be heard. So I think the 4 weeks is fine, and we'll see where we are.
Is that okay? I mean, that'll give me time to
Then we'll see where we
visit
are,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess I should, is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this item? I guess I should
No,
ask
I don't
that.
have anyone
Okay,
signed up to
okay.
speak.
We don't have anybody signed up. I'd like to make the motion to defer this item to, is it the 26th? Is that 4 weeks from now, to the
Yes.
March 26th commission hearing?
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Milner to defer the item to the March 26th meeting. It's been seconded by Commissioner Harrison. Please cast your votes.
Thank you.
And that item will be heard on the 26th. Item 7.
Item 7 is SPUD 1794, application to rezone 544 Southeast 14th Street from R1 MH and SRODD.
Hi, my name is Dakota Desai, 100 Northeast 5th. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This is just a SPUD to allow for reduced lot sizes for single-family homes, 3 single-family homes on the lot. We worked alongside with staff to resolve any issues that came up. We went to Urban Design yesterday and they recommended approval. The only thing that came out of that really was that they wanted us to include a provision for following the SRODD guidelines for street trees, and we plan to include that in the application. Otherwise, there were not any TEs.
Okay. Commissioner Harrison, this is Ward 7. If you
Sure, is anyone signed up to speak?
I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Are there any concerns from any of our commissioners about the orientation of property?
I'd just like to bring up the idea to use the platted alley rather than a private drive.
So we wanted to do that, but there's power poles there, and the cost to move them is going to be pretty substantial. So if possible, we would prefer to just keep the drive on the property and do cross-access and shared maintenance agreements. Just the cost to move the power poles that are there is a little prohibitive.
And it could be, I just think, you pull the pole down and move it to the west and put it underground right there. It just makes for future development as we develop further to the west so much better, because if they have to take access from the rear and they design the alley, then you're going to have an alley paving and a private drive right next to each other. And for me, it just makes for a better development for them and the future development in this area to not do the private drive. I know there's like 2 blocks to the north, there's a private drive mid-block that comes in and serves like 5 houses, and it just, as far as use and how it looks and for future, it's so much better to use the alley.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the constraints and the concerns. We did go back and forth with staff, and they didn't seem to have any issue with us, with our preference for the private drive.
I mean, I'm looking at a street.
I would disagree with that. We did
Okay. Whenever I spoke with them, it was something that was brought up, but ultimately it wasn't included as a TE.
I'm looking at a street view, and it appears to me that there's one power pole, and it looks to me like it would sit at basically your southwest property line. Looks like it'd be on the west property line.
Right.
Is that the one that's too expensive to move? Is it on your property?
It's not, I don't believe it's on the property. I think it's in the alley, from my understanding.
But it's on the west side of the property in the alley?
Yes.
Okay. Then should be clear.
I'm sorry?
If it's on the west side in the alley, it should be clear of being able to move the driveways down into the alley.
I was under the understanding that there is a power pole that would be in the way of being able to put a private drive in the alley, or not a private drive, a drive in the alley.
Right.
If there's not a power pole there, then it's not an issue, because it's not cost prohibitive at all. But if there is a power pole there, the preference would be to not have to deal with that. However, we're amenable towards reworking this if it's necessary.
Maybe we need an answer to this question then before we vote. I'm very much in favor of the idea of using the alleyway rather than doubling that paving and so on and so forth to accommodate future development. I think that's a good idea.
There is overhead line. There's a pole on the east side, and then the other pole looks like it's on the property line of the west property. So I think you could get it in, and I'd say maybe we just say the alley gets paved to the third residence, which I really don't like, or as far as it could go west to the power pole.
That's my opinion as well, That's my opinion as well, is to look for the power pole. To stretch it as far as we can to the actual power pole and include that as a TE in order for us to approve this and move forward.
We agree.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. If that's the case, then I recommend approval of SPUD 179 EE added as read. If you would, Don. With the TE added as read, if Don could give us the TE again regarding the alleyway to the power pole.
I think we just want to restate that. So it would be applicant shall construct alley improvements, public alley improvements west to the power pole, and all residential drives shall be given access off that alley.
Which power pole we're talking about? Do we need to specify the one on the west property line?
On the west property line.
Yes.
Do we need to add anything? I know it was in the UDC notes, but the street trees required on all street frontages spaced a maximum of 40 feet. Okay, so then we'll add a second TE. Street trees shall be required for all street frontages spaced at a maximum of 40 feet.
I was checking with Sarah to make sure she did that. Okay.
Good, okay. So we have a motion from Commissioner Harrison to recommend approval subject to the 2 technical evaluations read in. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. That item is recommended for approval. Item 8.
Item 8 is SPUD 1814, application to rezone 2020 Southwest 10th Street from R4.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Aurora. I am the applicant, and I'm here to, I'm sure you guys understand what's going on. It's already zoned R4. I gave you guys full plans and everything been developed for about 6 months now. The issue that we are having is SRODD does not like parking in front of the buildings, which is causing us to have issues where we can't satisfy zoning, which is I think 2 parking spaces per unit. We are requesting it to reduce down to 1 parking space per unit, and the parking will be in the back satisfying SRODD's requirements. This was all approved by Thad as well as Katie and Laura Griggs. I'm here for any questions, comments, and concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Milner, this is Ward 6.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I think really just the only concern I have about it is just the parking, though.
The what now?
The parking.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that I know you've worked with staff, you've got it moved to the back, but you got 4 2-bedroom units, and I know you've reduced parking down to 1, but I sure hope I'm not missing something, but I'm only really counting 6 parking spots.
Oh, yes, sorry. SROD did recommend to reduce it to 6. Still don't understand why. I wanted to do 8, but they said to do 6.
Okay.
And I said, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just follow their orders at this point, at their mercy.
You know, I always think when you're talking about parking, it's hypothetical because you don't know what is going to be the makeup of tenants that move into these units. But if it's just 1 car per, you're already putting 2 cars out on the street. You know, I think that was just the only concern I have. I appreciate the fact that you dressed the fronts up a little bit that are going to be street facing to 10th Street with little awnings and porches. I appreciate that. I don't know if there's anything you're going to add to the parking, but that's just kind of it. So,
But you can fit 8 on here.
So I think the issue that we're going to run into is that we're going to be 2 feet over the property line, not the property line, but there is an alleyway, and every single neighbor on the whole block, actually the whole neighborhood, has fenced. Even there's a brand new construction behind me about 6 months ago. They've all gone into the alleyway. If I was to do that, I have to go through a variance, which could take 8 months, cost a lot of money as well. They just recommended to do a spud instead. But I wanted to do actually more than 8 parking spaces. I'm going to keep these buildings, and if I was a tenant, I would like parking. But SRDD recommended there's a lot of street parking, so I'm just going to go with what they say.
Is there 8 units total? Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
8 2-bedroom units.
2 ones.
I just have a hard time with the density.
Yeah, you take 1 building away.
That's 25 units per acre. Yeah.
Very dense, mid-block.
It is already zoned R4.
That's my thought as well. If it's not possible to fit everything you need on the land, it's probably too dense.
The property has already been zoned R4. It's been like that for multiple years. We're just...
Yeah, and R4 has a basis up to. Again, for me, I like to see good planning. I don't mind the use at all, and just 1 building less, you can get your 1 parking spot per. And I know it's all about math, but.
Okay, so if we were able to get 8 parking spaces, this is something you guys would be...
I'd need a minimum of 8 parking spaces.
Okay, no, I will go back to SRDD. I personally wanted 8 as well, but SRDD pushed back and said 6. So.
Doesn't sound like you need to go back to them.
No.
They're recommending bodies, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're just a recommended body, and so you don't have to go back to them if we can get to 8 spots and get your development in. With the proper setbacks and everything else.
I believe just requiring the 8 spots will take out the extra building that he's got shown.
Or shrink it.
Or shrink them, yes.
But if you're in agreement with that,
I could do, yeah, I will have to go back to the architect. I don't want to say yes right now, but I mean, I
well, you
should've
kind of
been-
got to say yes right now.
I would say, just, let's go with yes, yeah.
We can continue it if he doesn't want to say yes right now.
Right.
No, let's go ahead and do it, because it was 8 before, and it shouldn't have been an issue, but it's SROD that pushed back on it, so, but it satisfied zoning, so, and other, I don't even know what to say, but yeah, I think it should be good with 8. I personally prefer 8, so, because if I, like I said, if I was a tenant, I want parking spaces. 1 per unit would be solid.
Okay,
I know parking's working on that right now for the past 8 years to reduce it to 1 parking space per unit. Hopefully get there sometime soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So knowing that there's 8 units, 2 bedrooms, but we're just doing 8 parking spots, any thoughts on providing bicycle parking?
Yeah.
Oh, there's already on there. I don't know
it's
if
a
you-
good
Oh, is
idea.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it should be 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's on there.
Okay, great. You're way ahead.
Or 1.
So it sounds like you're okay with us deferring this, and,
No, he's agreeable to the 8 parking
oh,
spots.
he is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
If you need a deference, just let me know.
Okay,
It's for.
no. Yeah, if
So
you're
we-
agreeable to that.
So we would add a technical evaluation that the applicant shall provide a minimum of 8 parking spaces.
Thank you.
Sarah's got
May-
Awesome.
Sorry, Sarah Welch, Planning Department. Could I please recommend 1 parking space per dwelling unit?
Yeah.
Okay.
That way, if he can only build 6, then he'll have that, he won't have to build 8 for
Right,
anything.
Okay.
Okay, got it. That makes more
Thank you.
sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I gotta go.
We'll make do we have anybody signed up to speak?
No.
On this one?
No.
Okay, motion to recommend approval of SPUD 1814 with the addition TE of,
No.
Sarah, how'd you want me to word that?
That the parking shall be amended to be 1 parking space required per dwelling unit.
Okay. Do I need to repeat that? Do we got that? We're good, okay.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Milner to recommend the item to City Council subject to the technical evaluation as read in. It's been seconded by Commissioner Privet. Please cast your votes. That item is recommended. Item 9.
Item 9 is SPUD 1799, application to rezone 5401 South Mustang Road from R1.
Good afternoon, David Box, 525 Northwest 11th Street, here on behalf of the applicant. Before you is an SPUD that would allow for an office development along South Mustang Road, just north of 59th Street. When we originally had filed this application, the SPUD looked significantly different than this, and it was a C3-based SPUD that would allow for a host of commercial uses that lots of protests came in indicating, a lack of support, concern for that. So we did have a community meeting at the Mustang Community Center, which is just south of 59th Street. That evening, Commissioner Meek was actually doing double duty. He had 2 meetings that night, going back and forth, room to room, as Mr. Zitzow and myself were getting yelled at by various citizens. Just kidding, Colin was there, he was very kind. So after the meeting, it became clear that any form of commercial was going to be something that was not favored by the neighbors. And so worked with our client, went back to the drawing board, revised the SPUD to what it is now before you. And what it is before you is now an 01 limited SPUD with only a handful of office uses allowed. I frankly had never seen 01. Obviously, we see 02 a lot, but we went a step further, less intense than that, and went 01, and then further restricted to the uses. In addition, what we've done within this SPUD is modify landscaping, modify setbacks, all done in a manner to hopefully make this a compatible development next to this single-family neighborhood to our west. Now, as you all know, a typical landscaping buffer between commercial and single-family residential is 5 feet, okay? Again, this is 01 office. What we are proposing in our SPUD is a 20-foot landscape buffer. So despite not having commercial, we are still 4X what commercial would require next to single-family residential. We are also willing to limit one of the TEs, TE1, asks us to kind of specify architectural regulations. What we're willing to do is limit all these to single story, require pitched roofs, and require these to be residential in style. Now, I'm open to language on that. I understand that that is fairly broad, but the point being, if you were able to join a Zoom with me, we walked through several other office developments that exist in Oklahoma City that are frankly far more intense than the 4 buildings proposed here next to high-end homes. And almost always, they look like homes. They're brick, they're pitched roofs. It just happens to be a CPA's office or a lawyer's office or whatever it is. So the reason that I think that's important is, from an architectural standpoint, there exists consistency with what is going on to the west of this site. But more importantly, if you think about, I think what our goal here is today is this a compatible use? Is what is proposed compatible with the surrounding environment? Jared, could you go to the zoning map, please? There we go. So let's start with what Mustang is. Mustang's a state highway. It's a major interceptor between Mustang proper up to I-40. It carries a tremendous volume of traffic. It is a 4-lane, presumably major arterial. So having office of a limited nature fronting on a state highway that's a major arterial 4-lane roadway, I don't think is a problem from a traffic standpoint. PUD 265 it's an old PUD, clearly by the number. It's a commercial PUD. You have just recently approved that C1 that's immediately south and east of us, just recently to that. It was AA, it's now gone C1. So I think there's an expansion of what's happening along Mustang Road. Mustang is growing, southwest of Oklahoma City is growing, and having office there, I think, is appropriate. The other reason I believe office is compatible is if you think about the way that office gets used compared to how residential gets used, they are not on the same time frame. Typically, people go to work 9 to 5, and that's the same time people are, of course, out of their homes because they're at their office. And conversely, when these offices would be closed is when people would be coming back. Typically, offices don't work on the weekend, and so they tend to be good neighbors for that reason. We tried to find a solution that would be amenable to the neighbors. It was clear that there was nothing that would be allowed to move forward that they would be supportive of, and I understand and respect that. It is worth noting, this is zoned R1 right now, so this is not AA. Oftentimes in these fights, we see these zoned AA, and it's a big change. We're going from agriculture to something else. It's zoned R1, and why I mention that and why it's significant, looking at that map, all of you know, it's R1, and what's immediately south of us, public sewer, public water. So what that means is you're not going to see, likely, if this were to be denied and a home were to be built, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it were, you wouldn't see a single home on 3 acres. You would see somebody try to subdivide it based upon the ability of the public infrastructure to get sewer and water there. So you're really looking at, I don't know, 15, 20 lots on 3 acres. So we believe limited office of 4 buildings, I think is what's shown on our site plan. We're willing to limit square footage. We already limit height in the PUD. We have maxed out a landscape buffer. We're happy to talk about architectural regs that can be placed in here. But the bottom line is a nice, well-done office building next to single family is absolutely a compatible use that has been done over and over again across this city. So we would ask for your approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Meek, this is Ward 3. If you'd like to lead our discussion, I do have several signed up to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I believe they have representation, and I would like to hear from the people that have signed up to speak.
Okay. Colin Walk.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Colin Walkie, 100 North Broadway, Suite 2900. I am here on behalf of Thoroughbred Acres, and I'd ask that my clients please stand to show how important this is to them. They took the time off of today to come in here, so thank you for that. For 37 years, this property in this area has been agricultural. That is why there are 5-acre tracts throughout there. And what's even more important, and while I know you generally don't care about this, it will become relevant in a moment, if you look at the covenants in this particular issue, you will see that everything in there is geared towards agricultural. For example, there are currently cows and horses still out there on these tracts of land. Now, I don't know how many office buildings you've been in, which you look out the back window and you see a bunch of cows and horses. You don't. And the reason is because even though that was 37 years ago, as we sit here today, that area is still rural, low typology, which means that whatever goes in there cannot negatively affect the rural characteristics of that residential development. So developing this in the first place to office would violate that typology requirement. But secondly, if we were to look back at the Ledgestone property where they talk about the commercial development before, or that's currently going on, what they don't point out is that there's 180 houses in that neighborhood. That is clearly an urban style neighborhood. The one to the north, where Thoroughbred is, are all 5-acre tracts, save and except for 1 and 2. Why? Because they are all rural in nature. And then if you look at their proposed entrance plan to this, the other big difference is this is a private road. They are seeking access off of a private road that my clients have to pay for. They haven't asked, they haven't volunteered to pay for any money to use our road. And then let's think about the most practical problem that they're going to face. The city is starting to look at covenants to determine whether or not to issue Airbnb short-term rental requirements. That is setting a precedent. And so you need to look at the covenants in this case because it specifically excludes anything related to office buildings. It permits retail sales, which, as we all know, there's a difference between retail and office space, at least in zoning. And if you look it up in the Oxford Dictionary, retail means a place where goods are sold, not where services are provided. So if they end up building this, there will be a lawsuit resulting from this because none of this would be in conformance with the covenants. Finally, I'd like to point out that, the office buildings themselves don't appear in rural areas. You don't see office buildings in rural areas. So this development for 37 years has been agricultural. It remains agricultural. They want to use our private road for ingress and egress, and they're completely disregarding the actual covenants that are in place that would prohibit any of this development. Consequently, my clients would ask that you deny this application as not in conformance with the rural low typology that is required.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Walkie. Corey Franks?
That's a fun one, huh? My name's Corey Franks. I live right next to the piece of property that this proposal is going to affect. But what I wanted to do...
Could you just provide that address for the record, please?
11500 Southwest 54th Street.
Thank you.
What I would like to show you is originally this H.L. Todd property was a 20-acre ranch. I currently reside in the old H.L. homestead. The proposed plot is going to be right here in my backyard. Another thing to note is this house is the only house in the neighborhood that faces the east and west. I'll get to that in a minute. But there's that picture. I get a little nervous, but I'll get through it. So my family and I currently reside in the old H.L. Todd homestead. This property was originally a 20-acre show ranch that the covenants were worded to allow for the selling and working of high-end roping horses, cattle, horse boarding, training, roping clinics, and such events. The wording in the covenants to allow H.L. Todd to operate such an operation in a residential development are now being manipulated by the surviving family members to maximize profits on the remaining land. Numerous comments have been made by the petitioner that H.L. Todd always intended for this property to be commercial on the frontage. So this home was built by H.L., and back to it's the only home in the neighborhood that faces the east and west. H.L. built this that way so he could see his property. He could look outside and see his horses. He could see his roping arena from anywhere in the house. He never intended to look out there in his backyard and see buildings. This was set up to be a ranch, a working ranch, show ranch, dealing with high-end clients of the horse trade, cattle trade, boarding as such. Obviously, I object to this very much, but the neighborhood was never intended to be a commercial facility. It's private road. We're on septic well. Everybody in there has, like was said, horses. You know, you move to a neighborhood like this to be able, even though you're in the city, the amenities the city offers, but you've still got space around you to get away from the cement. I do a farm-to-table beef, you know, I raise cattle on my property because of what the covenants say. I can do that because it's a small trade. But anyway, that's basically what I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franks.
Mr. Franks, I just had one question for you. Sorry. There's a black pipe rail fence along your...
That is mine.
Is that the property line?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine.
Just for my reference, I wanted...
Which was modified. It went from, there was 4 5-acre tracts. When HL started selling it all off, they modified. That was another deal. So if he intended for that to be zoned commercial, he would have originally laid it out to fit those 5. He would have built his house within the boundaries of that 5 acres that it was on. Instead, they've moved it to fit the covenants to be able to sell the house. So those were originally 4 5-acre tracts.
And that is your west property?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sorry.
sir.
Okay, and just, we heard Mr. Walkie and Mr. Franks both mention covenants, and just a reminder, since I know we have a couple of new commissioners, covenants are private legal documents that we have no purview over. So while they may be applicable in the private realm, as we review and consider, it's something that is not in our purview, so. Okay, Carrie Barger.
Thank you very much. I'm Kerry Barger. I live at 11648 Southwest 54th Street, private road that you've heard referenced here a couple of times. The reason I'm here, I'm the HOA president now for close to 30 years. Why they keep me electing me president each time, I don't know why. It's a high-paying job, but in any case, I met Mr. H.L. Todd, the original owner of that, and as you've heard, he owned 4 lots, and he did ask for that to be his forever home, the way he built it, and he did a mighty fine job, and we got along great. He wasn't happy about mowing the yard to our specifications or paying the dues on 4 lots, but he did so. And I will tell you, over that period of time, they honored their commitment not to move a commercial property. They went to their graves not doing so. And I hope that you allow us to live out our dream homes in our neighborhood. And the covenants is very important. Everyone has abided by it up to this time, including HL. And I just think that they're taking advantage of our uniqueness as Thoroughbred Acres. And as you've heard, we have horses and cattle there. And it's a unique place. And so changing it where you have commercial businesses that have already gone out of business up and down Mustang Road. What happens when that business goes out of business and it sits there empty? We have very little control over that. Also, we just have nothing in our covenants to control or manage a business of that type. As you know, homeowners, yes, I can tell them to mow the yard, I can keep the fence in good repair, I can do all those things. We take care of the road and pay for it ourselves. But how do I govern an office building that comes in there? It just is incompatible all the way around. So this is not a good idea. So please allow us to turn this down. It's not a good idea.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I do have a question for you. I mean, really, it's a question for all. So this is zoned R1, and as Mr. Box stated, I mean, if this didn't become office, if it didn't become commercial, I mean, somebody has the right to come in and build single-family homes in here. And at 3 acres, I mean, they could conceivably put 15 homes in here. Is that something that you would be agreeable to?
We would not be in favor of it, obviously, because again, the neighborhood is built for horses and cattle, and that's the way we would like it to remain. So we would not be in favor of it, but obviously we would honor the covenants, whatever it would allow, we will stand by that. But nowhere in the covenants does it reference any commercial business in there. And so that we are totally against there. But we will speak to a residential building coming in there, obviously. So we're open to that. We will honor the covenants as it's written, but we are not in favor of this point. Also, it presents, each of us pay dues each year to keep up the road and the fencing and so forth. So if we have 5 more or 6 more, 10 more tenants in there, each one of those people would be subject to the same amount of dues that the rest of the people pay. So again, this is just not a good merger of a business plan. We're not against business up and down Mustang Road, although it has impacted the traffic horrifically. But strategically placed, you can work around that. But on top, inside the boundaries of our neighborhood, I mean, that's our addition. They're putting it inside the boundaries. It's not alongside or across the street. It's in our neighborhood, and we will have to turn down that dead-end road each time and pass by that every time we come in and out of there. And so it's not like I live there, I'm retired, I still have horses. We enjoy the community. Everyone in the community has either likes to live around horses and cattle. That's the theme and nature of it, and that's the purpose of that neighborhood. It was designed around that. And HL never mentioned developing that into a commercial in the future. I just know that because we spoke many times on that subject. So I appreciate your time. Any other questions?
Any questions, Mr. Barger? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Walkie, did you have something to add?
Yes, Mr. Clare, if I can make one point of clarification just
Yeah.
real quick. While I agree that Mr. Box is a great lawyer and he and I may end up having a big fight over the definition of retail in the covenants, one thing I want to be abundantly clear is under no set of circumstances could more than one residence be built on those lots under the covenants. That's indisputable.
Okay. All right, last I have signed up to speak is June Roy.
I am a resident of Thoroughbred Acres. I live at the very end of the road, the cul-de-sac.
Can we have that address just for the record, please?
11749 Southwest 54th Street.
All right, thank you.
I have a beautiful home there. All the houses on our street, I say it's one entrance in and out, which we pay to pave, are a nice, almost a rural look, even though we're so close to everything. Basically, in my home is what I have to leave to my children. I believe that allowing that property to be zoned commercial would lower the value of my home and therefore my legacy to my children. And even of more concern to me is the danger of putting commercial buildings in there. The traffic on Mustang Road in our area is horrible. We go through at least 3 rush hours a day, and they last over an hour each. And the traffic is backed up from 59th Street to 44th Street, totally, during those times. I have waited 5 or more minutes to turn left out of our neighborhood onto Mustang Road because of traffic. And putting in 2 more entrances off of Mustang Road would make the traffic much worse, much more dangerous, and putting one off of our personal road that we pay for into that property would be disastrous for us. But I'm very concerned about the safety of putting more exits and entrances on Mustang Road. I know personally of 2 wrecks, one to a current resident of Thoroughbred Acres and one to a previous resident of Thoroughbred Acres, that happened right at our intersection where they were trying to get in and out of our neighborhood and were hit. It's just a very dangerous situation already, and allowing commercial to go in there would make it much worse. And I know there are other commercials, but there's no turning spaces. It's just our 2-lane road. There's no entrances and exits beside that, and really no place to put them. So I highly object, along with all of our other neighbors who are here and the ones who had other commitments and could not be here. This would be a horrible thing for our neighborhood, and we strongly request that you deny this rezoning. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Roy. Okay, that's everyone I have signed up to speak. Mr. Box, do you want to respond to any of that?
So on the access piece, so our site plan that was originally submitted as part of this does show access onto the neighborhood street. After the neighborhood meeting, we did revise the SPUD, and the access provisions now say access may be taken from a maximum of 2 driveways on South Mustang Road, spaced at least 200 feet apart. So we do not allow access onto that residential neighborhood. If we want it to be stronger, we can add a TE that just says access is prohibited from Southwest 54th Street. There were several indications of the comprehensive plan being rural low. This is rural medium. Certain office non-residential uses are compatible within the rural medium designation. This is not rural low. Jared, can you go to the aerial? But again, more fundamentally, if you're familiar with the area, I understand they have a rural style neighborhood that was developed many, many years ago. If you spend any time on Mustang Road, specifically at this intersection, there is nothing rural about it. Mustang, the city of Mustang, has a massive community center there that has their library, their outdoor pool, their city hall. There are gas stations on 2 of the corners. There's commercial up and down Mustang Road, and again, it's a major interceptor from this area and south, all the way through Mustang to I-40. So I think it's a bit of a misnomer to say that it is a rural area. This is a residential area that is now fastly becoming a commercial area. Understanding the nature of their neighborhood and how long it's been there, we try to be sensitive in our SPUD by limiting it to O1, further limiting it to just a handful of uses, maximizing our landscaping, requiring pitched roofs. Now, there's indication of retail. I assume my friend Colin didn't indicate that he wanted to see retail, but it's a bit strange that retail would be allowed, but an office building wouldn't. So we think it's appropriate. The technical evaluations on the recommendation part 2, we agreed to all 3 of them. And on the TE1, we would say single story with pitched roofs, residential styled buildings. Our intention is clear. These are single independent office buildings. This isn't intended to be a strip center with multiple bays, each office building to be independent. Perhaps we even limit the maximum square footage of any single office building shall be 7,500 square feet. That's what's drawn on our site plan. We're happy to commit to that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we would ask for your approval.
Mr. Box, did you
Yes.
say that you're willing to limit the number of buildings to 4?
Yes.
Because that's all, okay.
Thank you. I've got a lot to say regarding this. I know I'm only one vote, and I know that staff's recommended denial, and there's reasons for that, I'm sure, and many of them I agree with. We still have to look at it both ways until there's a vote and we know which way this is going to go. So I wanted to go on record and say I do agree with David that the site plan basically is no good because it does show the access to 54th Street, which I would, definitely want a TE that allowed no access to 54th. And I have a list of them to speak to if this thing goes that direction. I did want to say that there's a confusing spot in the application where it talks about, let me get to it, building setback lines have to be 25 feet on the southeast and west. Then you get into landscaping in item 7, and it's a 20-foot landscape buffer. So do you agree that it is a 25-foot buffer for building setbacks?
Yeah, yes. It's a 25-foot building setback.
Right.
And within that 25 feet,
There's
20
a
of it will
20
be
of it
consumed with landscaping.
Okay,
Correct.
in speaking to the city's TEs, TE number 1, providing additional details regarding the architecture of the proposed office buildings, I believe baked in with the 70% masonry and 30% other, like we always do, that's sufficient, other than if we could increase or add TE to say single-story residential style buildings with
pitched roof.
Nope, one more, with pitched composition shingle roofs.
That's fine.
Because if this thing goes that way, it needs to look like a house, and I believe without putting that on there, it could be metal lock seam roofs that don't look like the houses around it. So I would request that. This is a agricultural AA, big lots that have livestock. The other thing that I would request if this thing goes for approval, that a masonry fence must be put on the complete west property line. That's an 8-foot masonry fence with a continuous concrete footing. That would have to be agreed upon by the neighbor that spoke that has the pipe fence, but I believe if this thing was to come to fruition, that to keep livestock in, you need a masonry wall, not stockade fences. So with that, that'd be TE number 2 that I would request.
Well, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I just, maybe TE4. I want to make sure the record is clean.
Yeah, no, you're
Okay.
good. TE4. Let's just keep going with number 5 then. I would like, if this thing goes for approval, that it be we make a TE number 5 that limits 4 buildings to 7,500 square foot each.
Well, I don't want to say each. I want to say a maximum of 7,500 square feet. Perhaps they would be less.
That's
but
what I
yes.
meant. But also put the word 4, no more than 4 buildings.
That's fine.
Because that matters. And then kind of in the application, it's really unclear. Usually there's a better statement regarding water and sewer. I assume and would want a TE that public water and sewer would be required. They speak to, in the sections regarding those, they speak that the 8-inch wastewater main is adjacent to the site and a 12-inch water main is adjacent to the site. So the last thing you would want if this got approved is for them to drill wells and have some kind of septic. So, but I didn't see anywhere where that. No, if you can connect, you have to connect. But I would ask for a TE Number 6 are we on?
Yes, sir.
That public water sewer would be required. I'm sure some other commissioners have comments regarding this. I think both sides have, you know, you guys, Ward 3's wild, wild west. We see all kinds of stuff. We had a case like this last meeting that, and I believe you represented it, that the neighbors begged for retail and begged for, you know, a Starbucks, you know, an Aldi's grocery store, surrounded on 3 sides by homes, and they begged for it. And then you get to this case, and I understand every neighborhood's different, and I do agree that this neighborhood is a 5-acre plus neighborhood, so it is different. And in this case, you guys don't want anything there. I understand that. That's a stance you can take, and it's respectable. But we have to look at this to try that if this was to be approved, to put as many guardrails on it as we could, because like I said, I agree with staff on the recommendation for denial, but I'm only one vote. So with that being said, I'll open up to any other comments from any other commissioners.
I'll start, and I'd like to add the slope to the pitch to guarantee 612 minimum, or whatever you.
Thank you.
We can agree with that. We're agreeable with all the ones you said.
Yeah. And it would go to the idea that if you were looking from the property owner that lives there, looking to the east, that they would see the fence, maybe the tops of the windows, then the roof line. It would look just like a house.
Yep.
So the architectural, the materials, I want to move the cementous siding out of the 70% and just have the brick, stone, rock.
Say that one more time.
On the architecturals, on the material.
You want to remove the siding?
Yes.
It could still be EFS or
30%.
30%.
Oh, move it to 30.
Move it to 30%.
Okay, that's fine. It's TE 8.
And I want to talk about the fence itself, the masonry wall that would be built along the south property line. Right now, I think it's pretty open.
There we go. Yeah, it's adjacent to that. Well, you got one home, but then you've got a common area, which is a drainage channel or ditch for that neighborhood.
And that's why I didn't bring up that side, because I drove by there and I've looked at it, and it looked to me like it would cause a drainage issue.
Yeah, which obviously they wouldn't have to create a drainage issue, but they'd need some kind of site-proof screening on that side.
What if we do it to the extent of the home, of the single-family residence that exists there? I don't want to, we may get an issue putting footings next to the drainage area. But we could agree to the extent of the single-family home that exists to our south.
And then on the north side, there wouldn't be a fence, right?
It'd be landscaping.
It'd be landscaped and open.
But no access, but yes.
And no access.
Landscaping.
But kind of keep with that rural look of the grass.
Yeah, and you have the landscaping, it's a 20-foot landscape buffer on the north as well. So north, west, and south have a 20-foot landscape buffer.
Well, and speaking to that, TE number 2 is asking for it to be increased, which means we would have to state that to effectively meet this TE number 2. And then TE number 3 kind of confuses me. If you bake in all the requirements, all the setbacks, all the heights, but they still want, staff still asking for revised Exhibit B to reflect all this stuff.
Which we can do. So we just can't, I mean, we get this, over the weekend.
Right.
There's not enough time to do it between Thursday, but it has to be done before council.
But I'm saying if we recommended denial today, TE number 3 doesn't matter. If we recommended approval today, how does TE 3 matter?
Because you recommend approval subject to that TE.
So it would have to be done before council?
Correct.
Okay.
And so in TE number 2, we're going to need an increase of 100%? 80%?
So, I mean, typically what we've done is maybe at least we do it on maybe we do it the north, west, and south, are the trees, the language that Commissioner Clare has suggested in the past, the X-inch caliper trees on, I think,
20 or 25-foot centers.
yeah, on 20 or 25-foot centers within that 20-foot landscape buffer on the northwest and south, which would be agreeable to.
So let's go with 20.
Okay?
Canopy trees.
20-foot canopy trees.
2-inch,
20-foot
2.5-inch caliper?
yeah.
Minimum 2.5 inch. Yep.
2.5-inch caliper canopy tree on 20-foot center.
And I still would like to see something on the points, a percentage increase.
Yeah, there needs to be some, quantification of the increase. Like,
Oh,
what are
that's
we?
fine. My guess is when we do 2.5-inch caliper trees on 20-foot centers, we're going to blow through the point system, but I would.
Right, and so I want to see something on the ground too, you know.
So what if we say
so it's not just
20% increase in the points required?
How
about 100?
50? Oh, I like 100.
100% increase?
Yeah, we like that.
I don't know what I'm. Could we, Nate, would you?
And Nate don't know, but the truth is, I mean, even the landscape requirement on 3 acres, this much frontage, it's not that much.
Well, and probably you'd probably get down into a granular level. If you're going to require 1 canopy tree, 2-inch caliper every 20 feet, then for every 20 feet, then you could require, 5 3-gallon shrubs.
Well, you're the landscape architect, but I believe we're talking about 2 different issues. You got the buffer upgraded requirement that we're going to state in a TE, and then you have the parking landscape requirement that's going to be derived through the development center. If we put a increased requirement on the parking landscape, that's what would help what this looks like.
We're just trying to soften the whole look.
The whole edge.
Okay, so what if we, the language we've already stated about the trees, an increase in total points by 50%? Which I don't know what that looks like on the ground.
It's just not that much. That's why 100 is probably.
Well, did you say by 50 points or 50%?
Percent.
Okay, so if the site plan they drew, the sizes of the buildings they drew required certain amount of parking spaces, those parking spaces are going to come up with their landscape points, and you had to add 50% more than that, I believe it would. I believe there's a point it gets too much.
What if we?
Yeah, I mean, you just have 20 feet of room to put that in against that back wall.
What if we doubled the required parking landscaping points?
I disagree with your statement. The buffer is a whole separate issue. The point system is going to drive the parking lot plantings, and those plantings can't be put behind the buildings. They have to be approximate. They have to be approximate to the parking.
So let's just
double the required landscaping points required in the parking.
In the parking points, yes.
I trust that my office is watching this back
carefully. And again, yeah, and I still want to soften 20.
I'm with you.
Landscape is.
I'm with you. I think it's not just about the parking.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, that is where it will be most felt. If you think about what's going to happen behind the building, if we have an 8-foot concrete wall, I don't know what a bunch of shrubs do there for anyone.
But along that north side.
The north side,
very important.
Understood.
So maybe we limit it to that, the increase, the 100% in the buffer on the north side. I mean, that's where it's going to be most noticeable. And then do the upgrade of the parking as well.
Jeremy's making a face.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that there's not a whole lot of reason to put more landscaping
I'm
in
just
front
trying
of a
to,
brick wall.
once again, I wish we had a representative from the development center here, because when you submit a building permit and you come up with your required site/parking points, if it's 254 points where a tree's 12 and there's shrubs, 3, you're allowed to put them so many feet from any parking space and in this case is going to be the north side, the south side, and the east side. And so I believe that parking point increase needs to be able to be put anywhere on those three sides, not, if you called them all out on the north, it could be a jungle there.
I was talking about the buffer part.
Oh, okay, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in favor of beefing up the parking landscaping, and, you know, there's going to be more area that's covered by that than there is by the buffers, so.
If we double the parking landscaping points required, and then double the landscaping points required along the northern edge, I think that's at least something that has impact rather than behind the building.
I'm with that. Although I like the trees along behind the building.
No, I mean, we'll do the trees. I'm just saying, you know, putting something other than trees behind the building when you have an 8-foot wall.
Okay, I can live with that. How about you? We can live with that.
Yep. Is a specific plan required on this? On
In
office?
SPUDs, there is typically not a section for specific plans.
I didn't see that.
Really like to know what these
Maybe
are
we
gonna
should
look
see
like.
one, yeah.
We can, that's fine. I mean, we can require a specific plan.
Good idea.
I'll be here anyways. I enjoy coming, hanging out with you fine folk.
You guys good with the landscaping?
I think so.
Okay. All this being said, I think that the offices are definitely a very compatible use with residential. That being said, when I look back and living in an area very similar to this, the overall site plan, Jared, could you go back to the one you just had it on? I think this, when originally conceived and platted, was very deliberate. And to me, this feels like a square peg in a round hole, and sorry, I can't get behind it. It just doesn't fit to me. So.
Well, I will say,
Yeah, what more do you want to see? We can see it in the specific plan.
Oh, I mean, I'm fine with all the changes you guys have made. I'm just saying, the concept I can't support, so.
The concept of office on a state highway?
No, the concept of taking what was obviously divided into 5-acre tracts for the purposes of rural development and taking one little chunk out of it and turning it into commercial. If the entire frontage was originally designed for that, then maybe I could get behind that. But from what I'm seeing, the way it's laid out, the way it's been developed, this piece does not fit to me.
Well, fair enough. None of Southwest Oklahoma City would exist if we just stuck with what was originally intended, right? When you rezone that piece C1 across Mustang, that was originally a farm. That was intended to be a farm until it wasn't, until somebody decided that it was time to sell and things were changing.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the nature of zoning.
And
Every time that someone stands at this podium, they're seeking to do something different than what was originally contemplated.
Right. And so, different landowner, different idea.
That's right.
I just get
Well, I
behind
get that, and I've been on that side of the podium too, but in this particular case, my opinion is this does not fit.
I get that, and I'll respect that, but I would take the time, since these folks have taken the time to come here and say to me, this is sort of simply an acknowledgement of the change that is occurring, has occurred, is occurring, and will now accelerate, not because of this, but just because of where we are in this area. The idea that this is going to be O1 instead of almost anything else it could be, other than, you know, empty property, is to me a big plus. I would not be able to support this if I did not think that it was going to be an improvement to the area and that it would not impact in any significant way the existing neighborhood. I mean, the neighborhood's there. It's been there a long time. The city's grown up around it. It's pushing at the boundaries for sure. But this does not seem to me like an encroachment. And the idea that a piece of land, I mean, the only thing we're really here to decide is whether this use is appropriate for this piece of land. And it's really just impossible for me to look at this and say no. So, with the limitations, restrictions, improvements that are being baked into it, and yes, it has to have all that. So, that's where I am.
I mean, we started with 3 TEs and now we're at 8 or 9, so.
I don't even want to make the motion because of that, but
You
anyway.
can say as read. I mean, are you comfortable with where all of the language is on the TEs? Okay. Let me give my shot of where we think we are. Okay, on TE1, we will say single-story residential style buildings with pitched composition style shingles, the pitch being 612. TE2, increased amount of landscaping. That would be within the landscape buffer, 2.5-inch caliper canopy trees planted on 20-foot centers. TE3 we agree to. TE4 would be the 8-foot masonry fence on continuous footing along the west and south. On the south, limited to the span of the single-family residential lot that exists on the south. TE5, no more than 4 buildings with a maximum square footage of 7,500 square feet per building. 6, public water, public sewer required. 7 would be a requirement that the landscaping points required within the parking shall be doubled. Let's go TE8. The landscaping points required along the northern boundary shall be doubled. I think that's it.
And we were going to add the specific plan.
Oh, a specific plan, 9, a specific plan shall be required.
And the materials.
Remove the cement siding from the 70% allowable move it into the 30% allowable.
Is that enough? Okay.
How about the, do we need to put the access was prohibited onto Southwest 54th Street?
We can, yeah. Like I said, the way it's drafted, it's already done,
Okay.
does that, but we can add to E that just says,
Yep.
no access shall be permitted to Southwest 54th Street.
Okay. I will then.
Can we make just one quick suggestion? The roof pitch, it's 612, like that means it has to be that and nothing else. Do you want to make that a
Minimum.
Minimum.
minimum? Okay.
Okay, minimum 612.
Okay. Try. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval SPUD 1799 with all the TEs as read into record.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Noble to recommend the item to City Council, subject to the technical evaluations as read in. And for the benefit of the neighbors that are here, so this is a recommendation to City Council. It's not a final decision. City Council will make that final decision in approximately 6 to 8 weeks. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. That item is recommended for approval.
Thank you.
Item 10.
Item 10 is case PUD 2020-2125, application to rezone 17412 North May Avenue from PUD 1843.
Good afternoon, Mark Zitzow, Johnson & Associates. Address is 1 East Sheridan Avenue. So this application was, I don't know that it ever actually made it here. We received significant protest for the back portion of the property. They were seeking to do kind of a build-to-rent, single-family detached product. After a couple meetings with the neighborhood, our client has decided to remove that portion and keep what is permitted today. And so we've amended this PUD to be just the frontage of the PUD. So, and it doesn't look like any of the neighbors are here. We initially had about 30 to 40 people, and I'm sure that's reflected in your packet. It's extremely difficult to get folks to withdraw a protest letter, but I do think it says something that no one is here now. And so we have 3 TEs from the staff. We believe that we are in agreement with all of them. I just think for the record it'd be helpful to have staff clarify TE2. This is a private commercial development, and we intend to construct it in accordance with the city's parking lot standard. It didn't specify one way or another, but this has come up on a couple other cases, so just wanted to be clear there. And then based on a couple conversations, I would like to add 2 TEs. If you see our property boundary and look immediately south, there's an office park. There's one home that we share maybe half of their property line. So in order to ensure that there's some landscaping behind it, TE4 would read, one large tree, as defined by Chapter 59 of the zoning code, shall be placed within the southeast corner adjacent to the existing single-family home. And then we would add TE5, should the building be designed to interact more directly with the existing pond, screening on the east may not be required and would be reviewed at the specific plan stage. So under the current site plan, that wasn't anticipated, but in talks with the developer, if an office user, if a different user comes in and they redesign the site and the building to have a more direct connection to the pond, we do not want to have to put an 6 or 8 foot fence along that backside. Our client owns both sections that connect, and so if this got developed first or this PUD is approved, anyone who purchases or lives in the piece to the east would be well aware of what existed on the other side of the pond. There's also a significant gap between where the first single-family home would be and the back of the commercial. So with that, we'd ask for your recommendation of approval.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Noble, this is your ward.
No one signed up to speak?
I do not have anyone signed up to speak.
And just from your lead-in, you're not telling me that what we're voting on today is something other than what I have here?
No. No, and what makes this one unique is even though that I think the size of the PUD, or the size of the tract is smaller now, we still initially filed it as a PUD, and so using the specific, we can still put a specific plan application requirement in this.
Thank you.
So specific plan is in the application, so they have to do that.
Okay.
Anything else? The fencing requirements that you will have, so potentially to the north and the south, the material on that, I would like to see more than just the standard stockade fence, so.
Can you go to the zoning map, Jared? Yeah, so to our north is C3 and to our south is office, except for
that one resident in the back.
50 feet in the back. So, and that existing neighbor already has a fence. So I don't know what.
And there's a flume there too, but I don't know that it doesn't go all the way to May Avenue. I think it stops right there at that corner.
Mm-hmm.
So just to make sure that's fenced into there, or double fenced somehow, or.
Just in that one spot?
Yeah. I mean, I know it would look very strange probably because it wouldn't stop access from anything.
Sure.
But
Is that something that we can come back at specific plan with and show you the fence treatment at that time?
Yeah.
That way they can design it properly and we don't commit to something that would look odd. So we'd add, I guess that would be TE6, that fencing, the fencing solution in the southeast corner should be specifically reviewed at the specific plan stage.
yeah, kind of tie that to 5 anyway, because that's screening. Anything else?
I don't want to deprive us of hearing from Mr. Lodge today. If he would like to come up and clarify the intent of TE2.
Yay, Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Barry Lodge, Public Works. The intent of TE2 is, and we can change the wording in that at y'all's discretion, but the intent of that is that any portion of the private drives that will be constructed within the public right-of-way must be constructed to the city standards.
So the approach.
Basically the approaches, but if anything
Agreed.
else went in there. So that's what that would translate to.
Perfect.
I wanted to give a better, more language to that since the chairman was giving me my opportunity.
Yeah, we're in agreement with that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do we need to hear from Dustin for anything?
No.
Because he's good.
He's got phone.
I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, and then maybe And no questions on that development of the pond and what it would need to entail? It'll be in the specific plan? With that, I will make a motion to recommend approval of PUD 2125 with the written, read-in adjustments to the 5 TEs.
A motion from Commissioner Noble to recommend the item to City Council, subject to the written and additional TEs as read in. It's been seconded by Commissioner Meek. Please cast your votes. And that item is recommended for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. As we moved items up earlier in the agenda, that was the last item to be heard. And we'll move on to additional items. Communications and reports, Planning Commission committees. I don't believe there are any active right now. Planning Commission members.
Actually, there were some things I wanted to bring up, but my brain's fried, so I'll think about it for next time.
Okay.
There is something I would like to bring up. My brain is not quite as fried. I was involved in a meeting the other day, just talking about our ongoing code update, and I had a question, and staff answered it, but I don't think they answered it correctly, so just want to ask, how many trees are required to be planted per lot in Oklahoma City, per subreg? Is it 2?
A residential lot?
Mm-hmm. Is it 2?
1, isn't it?
Jared? Is it 2?
I thought it was 1.
Trees per residential lot, you're saying it's 1?
Is it 1?
A moment.
Okay.
Sure. I'm not sure if they were talking about the proposed code or the existing code, or?
Well, no, it was just me, an observation in a neighborhood with lot sizes of like 40 feet that have 2 trees on them, and I couldn't believe why they would be, unless they were required to, why they would try to cram 2 trees on a lot that, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of times it is written in the PUD that there'll be 1 tree in the front yard.
Yeah, these are
where
all,
the garage is 20 feet, some statement about that.
and these are, look like they would give nightmares to utility departments and, sidewalks and everything else where they're planted. So it was just something that I observed and was curious about, so.
I know
To watch that on PUDs then.
Yeah. Dustin loves trees and
Dustin? No,
wants
I'm
them
listening.
planted as close to utility lines as possible.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does.
Dustin loves
Especially-
30-foot lots.
Especially ones with deep roots and, yeah.
Actually, your question reminds me that the code update will be.
Right, and that's-
That the code update meeting will
Tuesday.
be before we meet again here.
At
March-
Belle Isle.
So I
March
would want
10th.
to,
Belle
I
Isle.
wouldn't want to mention that. So
At Belle Isle.
Belle Isle Library.
I guess we need to coordinate if everybody's gonna show up, like who gets to show up. I know this guy does because he's part of the committee, and Nate, are you on the committee?
Yep, I'll be there.
It's in my calendar.
Okay. Very good. Commissioner Newman.
Nothing.
All right.
Commissioner Milner? Commissioner Harrison? Commissioner Noble? Nothing from me. Planning Department?
Just one thing, excuse me, Commissioner Galvin has departed, we are in need of a new person for the Development Review Committee, our DRC. So I think, who remembers who's on it? It's been a while. Don and, okay.
I think I'm on it.
So I think the two of you and Don, I'm not sure if Nate was on it.
Thought so.
Sorry, I meant to note, but we do need an additional person. We do have a couple things coming forward. Obviously, the code update itself, the major things, but we've got a few things coming forward that we would need this committee for in the near future.
So John,
I nominate the new guy. Nominate Mr. Milner.
Yeah, and Ward 6 is probably pretty important to be on there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's not extensive. It's maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, no big deal. Thank you.
And the purpose is just for whenever there's a new
development-related ordinance, like the sign code or subdivision regulations or any number of things, it gives the opportunity for the development community to kind of, it's like a study session, but it's a little bit different. The development committee or community members are invited to come and hear what's proposed and give their feedback, as well as the members of the commission that are on the committee.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Municipal Counselor's Office?
Nothing?
All right. Citizens to be heard? I see none. Other business, we have a presentation on infrastructure and development initiatives in Ward 3.
Man, you set a high bar. Are you guys ready for the next 3 hours?
No. Do we need a break?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know if you guys realize, but time flies when you're having fun, right? So it's been a year now since I've served on City Council in Ward 3, and really wanted to take an opportunity to come and just tell you guys thank you for what you do. I know it's hard. I know it's real hard. And I know Ward 3 is big and burly, and we bring a lot. So I appreciate you. I know that you're having to make tough decisions every single day, and your volunteer service to our city, our community, our businesses is very much appreciated. And I can tell you with clarity how much I can see that after 1 year of experience. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm working on figuring out how to manage my big and burly ward as well. I'm working with the city manager's office and the planning department to create a communication framework around 143 square mile spread, and making it more chunkable so that we can have more strategic conversations around planning and infrastructure that will hopefully make your jobs and our jobs easier, and just being able to communicate. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the long hours. Thank you for making tough decisions. And I hope that you keep up the good work. And thank you, Commissioner Meek, for just driving every mile. I don't know if all of you guys are able to do that, but knowing that you have someone that cares so much that they're driving all over 143 square miles, it's really, really appreciated. Thank you, sir. All right, that's all I have today.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Avers. All right. If there's nothing else from commissioners, we are adjourned. Thank you.